Hi, everyone. Welcome to our spiritual sojourn. So glad you could join us today. Hi, Tom. How you doing?
Hello, Lori. I'm doing really well. How about you?
And you've grown facial hair since the last time I saw you.
No, this is just my 5 o'clock shadow.
Well, I like it, so keep
Okay,
it. Okay.
thanks.
You may notice we have a guest with us today, and this is my wonderful friend, Stephanie Gray, who's in Kansas City, correct?
Yes.
And she's here to join us and talk about what she's up to these days. You're an amazing artist. I have some of your work. And I know that your guides and spirit and interstellars talk to you through your art. So I'm excited to hear more about that today.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm so glad to be here. Thank you guys for asking me on, first of all. And yeah, I mean, it's interesting how I went from not being an artist at all to doing something called process art, which is just to create from the inside out, to facilitating that, and then to the point where when I was doing it, my guides were coming in. And so that's where I am right now is getting used to that bit and really, welcoming that in, not just in my art, but, through journaling and all of that too, which I consider to be a creative tool, right? If writing and journaling as well. Um, but yeah, they have been very insistent that I become more vocal, I guess, about what it is that we've chatted about and created about. And so yeah, that's what I've been up to. I've been preaching creativity and what's happening right now in the world. And when I say preaching, of course, I'm just, with finger quotes, I do feel like we're in the beginning stages of a transformation on the planet. And at this point, at least for me and a lot of people I'm surrounded by, it doesn't seem like there's any denying that at this point. But yeah, and the more I sort of lean into that, the more I'm nudged to do, more creativity and to talk more about that and to talk more about the transitions that are happening. Yeah.
I know on this, so just take a moment and talk about this new venture you've started called Holy Shift, which I love with the F in parentheses.
Enunciate, Lori. Please enunciate.
Well, I have to tell you, this is the biggest like heart passion project for me. I love talking about the shift that's happening, and I don't think enough of us are doing it, and I do feel very pushed to do so. And so I spent all of this year trying to get people to come on board and do something with me or to have me on podcasts and stuff like that. And as the universe works, as we know, it wasn't happening. Like things were falling through and things were falling apart. And it's because I'm supposed to do it myself. So I started, the name just sort of came through and it was like hilarious, holy shift, because really, and
Exactly.
it's so funny because so basically I'm just recording from my studio and I'm just talking about it. They're like little snippets of what I feel like this transformation is. And for anyone who wants to listen, right? And the thing about it is I don't care how many people are watching or listening. It's just I want to reach the people who need to hear it or who are feeling alone or like, am I going crazy? All of that. And so that's what Holy Shift is about. And I have like seven, I think, little 8 to 10 minute episodes that I've already done. And I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it because, I was waiting around for somebody to give me permission, like outside of myself. And then it's like, nope, it's me. Oh, okay.
Isn't that great the way the universe works? I swear.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm loving
Well,
it.
and it's wonderful because it's now out there. The intention, the energy, the information is out there, and whoever finds it at the moment they are needing it. I think.
Right. And there is something to that feeling of empowerment when you just go, enough, I'm just going to do it myself. And I don't care what the consequences are. I don't care, if it gets two people watching or not. Like it's more of because I can use my voice, right? And I can like you were just saying, Lori, I can just put that out into the ethers
Mhm.
and it's healthy rather than keeping it like stuffed inside. And the other thing that happened is once I started recording them, my guides were like, they had me on Thanksgiving weekend, I think it was, going through every piece of journaling that we've done together and every bit of art that we've done together and compiling it. And I realized, oh, wow, this isn't just like a one or two off situation. I have 36 pages now at this point. And I it's amazing. They just want, I think I'm just being shown that, it's okay to talk about this stuff and it's all valid. So, and that's what I want people to feel when they tune in.
And it also strikes me as you've always kind of said, well, I don't channel, and yet you've discovered that, yeah, you do. I love
Well,
that.
and that's an important piece, isn't it? Because, well, I mean, come on, Lori. I mean, you're one of the best channelers that I've ever met, and then I'm surrounded by
I felt
other
that.
folks who
Thank you.
are as well.
Uh,
And so, me thinking I could channel was like, that's ridiculous. But no, we all have our own way and we all can do it. It's just that it's going to meet us where we can find it. And for me, it was creativity. And I don't know if I'll ever be one of those people that can just sit and channel something for someone else, but I don't have to be,
right,
right?
right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. I was listening to one of your podcasts earlier today, and you were talking about chaos. And
Mm.
it just feels like there's so much of that in the world right now. So I was wondering if you could just share it because it was about chaos and creativity and how nothing new can come unless the old disappears and like we get rid of it. And so that's what this chaos is about, is that upheaval of kind of clearing shit out, so to say.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so that's interesting because that piece came in when I was working in my altered book. I was actually in a class and I was doing what I do. We were all feeling this chaos energy and I was just feeling it and working with it. And then like I just had this knowing that you cannot create something new without chaos because first of all, chaos and creation are just like right there, it's on the edge of each other. And in order to have new, the old has to fall away. And there's chaos in between. It's like the birthing process. It's messy, it's chaotic, it it's painful, and yet you can't have one without the other. So I was, it's like chaos is a necessary part of this. And yeah, I mean it's tough because I think we're going to be going through it for quite a while. I mean, from how I'm feeling, I think we are just going to continue to see the systems that we've grown up with just crumble around us, and that is not easy to be with.
Yeah,
Another reason why I wanted to start this, because as that stuff happens, I mean, we do all need to put out that sense of sort of grounded energy as we can and move from our hearts and be with people
right,
as necessary.
right. And what strikes me is because I know I resist change and certainly chaos and all of that. And what strikes me is probably the less I resist it, the smoother I'll move through it. If I can
Mhm.
move with it as opposed to trying to stop it or whatever, just resist it.
I'm the same way, and I have been all of my life. I think as humans, that's kind of how we do, right? But I have to say, I am so grateful for process art, which I talked about earlier, because it does, as you work with the images that want to come, the feelings that want to come, it encourages you to move into it rather than like move back from it or try to create something that's pretty to look at rather than the shadow aspect that's coming up. And that has, 30 years of practicing that has taught me even though I resist, it doesn't last as long. And so, I mean, there is a practice that can happen as far as like just sort of like feeling your way into moving with that and the change rather than resisting it. And your body can get used to that too. So, yeah, and that could be part of what's next for many people is like learning that sort of, getting your sea legs with the choppy waters and stuff. It's like rather than trying to pretend it doesn't exist or keep yourself active to pretend like it's not happening, how can we just sort of like dive into it and then come out the other side?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What types of messages do you get that come out of your artwork and your journaling? Is it education or advice or
It's very much for me. I would say it's helping me to move through these times. So a lot of it is very tailored just to my personal stuff, but it started in earnest when I was working on in a big book, and I just started getting these, sentences like thinking your way through won't work. You need to feel your way through, and then an image would come, and then I quickly realized, oh, okay, these are actually like little nuggets to help me through this transitional time. So that's actually another thing that I shared on the podcast on Holy Shift, and I want to do more of that. And maybe that's why they had me like organize all my stuff so I can like speak to certain things and share it.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I mean, yes, it is not like, to answer your question, it is very much in the moment. How am I doing? And then them sort of bringing in information that helps make sense of things.
Mhm.
And I'm wondering though, as this is continuing, yes, it feels like it's personal for you, but my hunch is it's also relevant to pretty much everybody else as you share it.
I'm guessing so. I'm guessing there'll at least be a pocket of people who will
Mhm.
feel drawn to the information. Yeah,
Mhm.
I found myself in a situation the other day in a workshop, and I realized how cloistered I am normally, because I've surrounded myself with friends who we share
Mhm.
this the same ideology, right? To a certain degree. Like, so to step outside of that bubble, it was surprising, I think. So I mean, there's definitely a learning curve, and there's also, I believe, at least but this is what has been shared with me and others, that it's not all going to happen for everyone at the same time. There's going to be different, groups of folks who go in stages. It's just going to be in stages, right? So yeah, but yeah, that's what I hope. I hope that I can reach folks from the place of the heart.
I'm sure that you're getting that done. What does it look like on the other side of that transition?
What it looks like, well, what I'm feeling into is it's going to be very heart based. So it's not like the brain is going to go away, but it's going to be more of a balance of the head and the heart. It's going to be There's going to be more compassion. There's going to be more community instead of this divisiveness that's going on. Um, Healthcare is going to change. Education's going to change. Like all the systems are going to change. Now, I don't know what the time span is on that. I don't even know if I'll be alive to see it all, but that's like, I got excited thinking about the medical situation. Like the medical industry is going to be shifting a lot to where there's going to be frequency and color and scent involved, even, and who knows, maybe even light language. I don't even know. It's not like the Western medicine is going to fall away, but there's going to be this merging of things. And I do feel strongly that, interstellars are going to play a big part of coming in to help us integrate all of this. So yeah, it's just going to be, it may look similar, but it's going to feel completely different, and the structures are going to be different.
Mhm.
Does everybody make the transition? I know you said in groups, but are there some people that just aren't going to do it? And
I know there's a lot of different thoughts on this, but my feeling is yes, eventually now, but again, not at the same time.
yeah,
So,
okay.
yeah, I mean, you may leave your body, and then, I mean, you'll be in a whole different situation, right? So, and but that's something I don't really know. Other than that, it's going to be shifts that, like, we're all going to be, where we'll meet each other where we can. The folks that may be a few steps ahead will be helping the folks that are a few steps behind, and those folks will be helping the others.
Yeah.
And then and it may take a while. I mean, it may take quite a while for it all to happen. And I know but then there are some schools of thought, which I honestly do not have that information, at least from my guides and stuff, that there will be like a big flash and everybody gets it. Um, but that's just me.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know that we really know for sure how it's going to actually
Yeah,
look or be in that moment. I think it's part of that staying centered and listening to our own guidance, our own heart, our own soul self, and trusting that. And that's difficult at times for human beings to
absolutely.
do.
Absolutely. And I have been told many times by them that I couldn't understand it all with my intellectualizing self as I am right now anyway. So it's almost like, just trying to figure out how it's all going to happen in the chronological way that it's going to happen. Although I want to know, it's not, that's not for me. It's just not.
I don't think it's for any of us, honestly, 'cause I
Yeah.
know that human beings have the capacity right now to really understand, like you said.
Yeah.
And then we'll just make up stories about it and then frighten ourselves, probably.
But it's interesting because when you feel it, so
Yes,
when you feel into it, you can feel it because a lot of that energy is here already. So you can really move into it. And I think, Lori, you and I have had conversations about how that's really available in the present moment when we can allow ourselves to be there. Not all of it, right? But there are that energy has started to make its way onto the planet.
I agree. But
Yeah.
like you say, it's a heart feeling thing,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, because you certainly won't get the warm fuzzy feeling that things are shifting into a higher dimension when you look outside or look at the news, or you know what I mean? Like that, just you won't find proof of that. It is more, you do really have to go within
Yeah. And trust it.
and trust. Yes. I'm so good at that.
Aren't we all?
Yeah.
That's
One
the
of my
word.
superpowers.
Everybody says that word, and every time I hear it, I go, "Oh yeah, yeah." And I
Yeah.
maybe we all have the reaction. One of the things I pound the table on quite often is I think of this as the University of Empathy. And so on the other side of that, maybe we have graduated some of that class or at least completed the hard chapters in the book, or how do you think it relates to that?
That we're learning empathy, or
Yeah, will we have learned it by the time we transition?
I I think so. For the most part, I mean, I feel like that's one of the biggies. And I don't know about you guys, but for me, what's been happening for years now is that I've been doing shadow work, and shadow work comes up, and the more that I can meet my shadow and find love and compassion for those bits and pieces that I found, disturbing or ugly or whatever, then that follows suit. And then I can have more empathy and compassion for folks around me too. And I feel like part of what this energy is here to do is to sort of like knock things loose and clear them up and out for us to look at, and then transmute and transform them. And either send it back into the field of love or bring what we need, to create this wholeness in us so that we can meet this next phase. And
Okay.
that's why creativity, I think, is so amazing for that, because you can meet the shadow pieces, with creativity too.
Can you speak a little more about when you talk about creativity and then your artwork? How does that look for you? What does that mean exactly?
That means, I'll give an example. Uh, let's say I am in a space of deep, dark grief. And it's this part of me that has an abandonment wound. And so rather than try and, like I did earlier in my life, eat my way out of it, shop my way out of it, smoke cigarettes my way out of it, um, I would meet it with art. And that would mean getting curious about who it was in there that was afraid of being left, right? And so when I would figure that out, I mean, it's a pre-verbal baby, it's a 3-year old, it's a 6-year old. So it's like parts work, right? And so I would there were times I would draw like a little baby in utero. There were times I would draw a little infant and or a little toddler, and then I would surround her with love. I would, put bright colors around her after I had told her how much I loved her. So there's a way to bring that part about through creativity and ask it questions, have a dialogue. Words can come in, and it's amazing what happens. And then suddenly, it's it's I don't want to say gone, but transformed, I guess. And so now when this part of me comes up, and I mean, she does come back to say hello every once in a while, I know how to hang out with her much faster, and I can just soothe her in the way that she needs to be soothed. I can do some art with her if I want, if she wants. And I feel like that, not necessarily the creativity part, but that meeting those pieces of ourselves is crucial right now. Because honestly, I feel like the shadows that aren't being integrated, aren't being acknowledged, are showing up outside of us, and there's a deep purging of that. Yeah.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
do that type of healing for others as well?
Well, that's what I do with my art. So I'm a creative transformation guide. So that's part of what we do when we work one-on-one or even in groups,
Okay.
is to do that.
Oh, that makes total sense. Boy, I bet that's powerful. I can
It
just,
is, it is. And you can do it, you don't have to be an artist. So, you can do it with a stick figure or colors and moving the energy out. Yeah, it is very powerful.
And someone who's not an artist by any means, I've done some work with Stephanie and we've done some classes, and it is very powerful. And it doesn't matter what the picture ultimately looks like. Like you say, it's the colors that get used and the feeling that goes into it. I'm always,
Right.
yeah.
Well, and then I think it was either last year or the year before, I woke up with a message in my head, in my heart, to begin using frequency with creativity and combining the two. And I'm not like I don't know a whole lot about frequency. I do know about solfeggio frequencies. And I did some reading into that. And I began playing music that had solfeggio frequencies in the background for certain things. And it's so incredible what happens, because you're already, when you're doing creativity and you're making art, you're dropped into the heart space. And so while you're dropped into the heart space, you're listening to these particular frequencies. And you're also, like, I also did a little bit of research about how if you smell certain scents and use certain oils and stuff, there's a frequency with that. There's a frequency with color. I mean, everything is a frequency. But it just, I incorporated all of that into sessions. Valerie Lewis and I have done some collaborative work on that, and it's really something I love. Yeah.
Let me just share. I did a class when you did that, and it was very powerful. And you were playing the music, and I could certainly feel it. And then you were also burning some sort of
Frankincense. Yeah.
frankincense. I literally could smell it while I was sitting here, and this was on Zoom. And there was a moment where it was like, wait, I don't have any incense burning in my house, but I could literally smell it because the frequency somehow came through and I picked up on it. And it was that scent, as well as the music. It was one of those out of body kind of experiences in that moment. It really was.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, other than that, everything is frequency, it should have, it doesn't make sense that we were all on Zoom and that happened. But things like that happen over and over again where, we'll have a class of people and we'll all be on Zoom in our own homes, but we all end up creating similar things. Like it,
Exactly.
yeah, it's amazing. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So coming in from this is a little bit new to me. I want to back it up just a little bit if we can. Tell me
Yeah.
about the frequencies and spell the word two, please, so that people that are watching this can look it up and learn more about it.
Absolutely. And just as an FYI, on my blog, on my website, I did a whole piece on frequency and creating. So, but solfeggio frequencies have been around for a very long time. The articles that I have listened or read have said ancient. Now that doesn't tell me exactly when, but solfeggio, Solfeggio
Okay.
frequencies. And there's certain frequencies that when you play um, when you play them, one is for like heart opening, one is for like repair and healing, one is for the God frequency is what is normally called or what is commonly called, and that's to get in touch with higher self, source. And that's what we like to play with. And I believe it's 963. But again, you can do your own research and look that up because as much as I love it, it's like digging in and getting like completely nerding out on it isn't going to be what I do, right? I just get enough. They give me enough information to be like, do this, do that, and then I do it and incorporate it. Yeah, so I hope that answered some of your
That did,
questions.
and it just makes me want to ask another one about the music side of it. Um, is there certain modern music where those frequencies are sort of embedded in there and you get the benefit without really realizing you called that up?
That is so funny you mentioned that. Probably at this point, there was a time in the 90s that I wanted that to happen so badly in the world because I was like, this would be brilliant, right? To put in what I was thinking is like putting in maybe like Tibetan monks or, something like that in the background so you could barely hear it, but you were still getting the benefit. Having this, like the frequencies in the background of a like a of pop music or something, or having it tuned to that frequency would be amazing. And I'm guessing at this point that there are people doing that, but if not, I mean, it needs to happen.
Yeah. When I asked that question, I was kind of overwhelmed with kind of the warm feeling that there's something there. And it
Mhm.
makes me think of there's certain types of music that we all love individually, everybody's different, but they must have some of those frequencies in them that help us heal because that's what we need and that's why we love that music. So I don't know if that's true, but I'm gonna pay more attention to that because I really think there is something there.
Absolutely. And there is also something to the fact that when we are listening to our favorite music, it puts us into a different state, like a state of joy. We may dance, we may sing along. If we sing along or hum along, we're, activating our vagus nerve and we're shifting things and we're vibrating things and we're moving things up and out as well. So that's another like creativity piece that comes into it too. It's when you think about all of it, it is fascinating and exciting.
Music is healing, and I'm a musician, and I love certain groups and certain types of music for that very reason.
Mm,
And it's almost like you could look it up in a medical dictionary and says, if you're feeling this, listen to this.
mhm.
So I know it's in there. And maybe we don't all understand how to find it, but it's in there.
Right, absolutely. Absolutely. And just going with how you feel when you're listening to a certain piece of music or a certain genre. Totally.
Yeah.
And what I find is I listen to different kinds of music depending on how I'm feeling in that moment, what I'm drawn to.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'll even listen to a like a song if I know I'm feeling sad and I just can't get to that place, and a certain song will do that for me.
Yeah.
And then it's like I'm able to do the release that needs to happen
Yeah.
and sing along if I need to.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Music is very powerful.
Mm,
And now that you think about it in those terms of frequency, even more so. And it can be used for healing. Well, and there is music therapy that
sure.
people use and art therapy that do just that. Yeah.
Can you imagine the popular music of the future may be like, like sound baths, but also, like whatever the current music is of the day and like combining all of that? Eee,
Wow.
it's exciting.
That is exciting. Yeah. Wow. And maybe even visuals to go along with it.
Mhm.
Yeah. Interesting. Mm.
Well, so what are some of the things that you have addressed through either the visual or the auditory where you've been able to take someone through a healing process? What would I come to you if I had a condition that I was trying to heal? What would be one of them?
Um, I think when you come to me, it's first of all, it's probably different every time. But that's the thing, like creativity and frequency and stuff does the healing and your team and my team get
Um,
together and it happens as it's as needed.
yeah.
So, but let's say there's a woman who is that I work with who has had some heart issues.
Mhm.
And when she comes here, we're just listening to some soft music, but with the frequency of heart healing. And she does a lot of heart work, like literally drawing hearts and stuff like that. But it's a very natural thing. Like it has it healed her actual heart. I don't know. That's for her and her medical team to figure out. But I do know that as she's been coming, there has been a shift for her, in energetically. And so, I always get stumped when people ask me this because I don't consider myself a healer. I consider myself someone who empowers others and individuals to heal themselves. And so I just
And
sort of suggest,
that's the definition of healer, actually, is
Yeah.
someone
oh,
who empowers others to heal themselves.
Yeah.
So you are a healer.
Yeah. You're not getting past us on that one.
well, okay. So I basically hold space and suggest and ask questions. Before somebody even comes in, I know a little bit about what they want to work with and I set the stage for that. And then we just let nature take its course, right?
Yeah, you're a great facilitator.
Thank you.
Yes. Uh,
Well, how can someone find you on your website or your practice? How can we get more information?
Pretty much everything is at stephgrayart.com. And then I co-founded something called Creative Nectar Studio, and that's with my friend Jenny Hahn. And we have like an online community that you can join if you're interested in process art. And so that would be creativenectarstudio.com.
Okay.
Yeah,
And people can contact you through that and possibly get with you to do a session. You do them virtually as well?
absolutely. Yeah, that's mostly I do virtual stuff.
Okay, good.
Although if you're in Kansas City, I do have a little studio in my house. So
Okay. Now, is there a place in the future where the Denver Broncos beat the Kansas City Chiefs? Do we know that?
Not that I see. No.
All right, I should have. Okay, I retract that question.
There's a place in the past,
There's a
perhaps,
place in
over and over again.
yeah. And is there anything else that you or your guides or that you feel that you'd like to mention before we close down today?
I think what we talked about earlier, which is just as much as you can connect within and 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 be in community with people, like-minded people who understand. And if you don't have that, seek it out, find it. I mean, if you're listening to this, you already are halfway there. So, yeah, just breathe and connect to the heart.
Well, that's great. Well, and people in all over the country are connected to the Awkwardly Zen network, and
Yes.
that's such a good resource for everybody. And what a great name, as we've said many times, because we all feel the awkward.
Oh my gosh, yes, we do. I'm so grateful to Awkwardly Zen. And yes, if you're not part of that yet, please, yeah.
Well, Stephanie, thanks for joining us today. And I'd like to thank everybody for listening and being a part of this today. If you have comments, you can add them, and we'll make sure that if you have a question for Stephanie, that she can see that. And you can ask questions of Lori and Tom as well, and we promise to get back to you. We'd also like to hear what you have for possibly future episodes, because we're always open for ideas for what to do next. And if this has helped you, give us a like or a subscription, or maybe share it with a friend who would find this useful.
Mm.
And with that, I'd like to thank everyone, and we'll see you next time.
Well, that was fun.